Ooh. All right. I've often had like to-do list type things on my Halloween docket, and this has definitely been on there. So I've vaguely known about this game ever since it first came out, but I've never gotten to play it. I feel like at some point it occupied a place in my brain with this idea that it was like the scariest horror game ever made or something, which probably is not the case. It probably was never the case, but I don't know. Something about this game seems legendary and mythical. Probably just the weird hype about the crazy stuff it supposedly did and things like that. But it seems to be a game that people think back fondly of, and in particular, I think Eternal Darkness and Metal Gear Solid 1 were both kind of known for their fourth wall break weird moments that kind of acknowledge that they're a video game sometimes in a way that's like significantly more common now, but was significantly less common back then. It's like that stuff kind of interests me, and you know, just hearing this game, hearing about it's like Beyond Good and Evil a little bit, where it's like there's a name that I've heard for a very long time, but I've still just never gotten to it, and just don't really have that much of a concept of what it is, so I'm just happy to finally play it, so I can answer that question to some extent. That's kind of the exploration through retro games is kind of fun on this channel, is like going back and like poking at like Myst and Eternal Darkness and other games and so on. I had a particular thing that came to mind that I just lost the name, so it's like, fuck it, not name dropping that particular thing.
Flesh, bone, bound together with the oddest magical incantation. This wretched book is where it all began so long ago. Before time, before humanity. I am Dr. Edward Roivas. I am a clinical psychologist. I am also dead. This is not my story, nor even the story of the Roivas family. It is the story of humanity. Like it or not, believe it or not, as you will. Your perceptions will not change reality, but simply color it. Humanity has been on the edge of extinction for 2 millennia, ignorant of so much and dependent on so few. The Guardians grow restless, their time once again near. Whether by fate or misfortune, my family has crossed their path, and they didn't take kindly to it. Their attention turns to my granddaughter, for she is the last of my line, and the last hope for humanity.
Oh, what are we doing here? Excuse me. Ah, I thought that was the use the door button. It's the shoot the skeleton button. Excuse me. I don't know any of the buttons. Is there a run button, please? Aha!
Hello?
Miss Alexandra Roivas?
Yeah, who's this?
This is Inspector LaGrasse of the Rhode Island Police. I'm sorry to disturb you, but there's been an accident with your grandfather.
I'll be on the next flight out.
56 guy? 56 at this time. You have a call here?
Miss Roivas, I'm pleased to meet you. I trust you had a pleasant trip?
Yes, I suppose so, considering.
Yes, my condolences. This is most unpleasant. It's a shame we couldn't meet under brighter circumstances.
Yes, it is. Can we get this over with, please?
Of course, this way. But I must warn you, it's not a pleasant sight. I'm afraid there's not much to see. Miss Roivas, is that your grandfather, Edward?
Yes, it's him. He's wearing our family ring. I don't understand. Why are you showing me this? Can't you check dental records or something? What is wrong with you?
I'm sorry. It's my job, lady. You're the only living relative, and no, we can't check dental records. There's no head. None of this makes sense. There's no sign of intrusion, and there was certainly a lot of force used here. I have never seen anything like this in my 20 years on the force. We have no evidence except for the body, and what's left doesn't say much. We don't have a single clue.
Well, you better find out who did this. I'm not leaving Rhode Island until you do. There must be some clue in this old mansion revealing what happened. I want answers.
So do I. I wish I had some.
Shocked by her grandfather's mysterious death and frustrated at the incompetence of the local police, Alex vows to uncover the truth. She decides to search the mansion, the place where Edward conducted his research. If there was a tie to his past, and possibly a tie with his murderer, it would be here. I'm surprised she got a positive ID that she confidently anyway, like if it's just a headless body? That seems unreliable, actually. There wasn't really much warning either. But yeah, I have like no concept of this game. It's a real enigma where it's just like it felt like it was talked about in hushed tones or something, but all I have in my head is just that it was some horror game. I don't know the plot or the premise or the structure, and I haven't heard really any specific details ever. I'm getting Lovecraft vibes immediately though, with the humanity on the brink of extinction for 2,000 years. And the sort of, them kind of speaking on like an unknowable cosmic scales and all that. The last weak rays of sunlight fight the shroud of darkness. It lends an eerie feel to the last few weeks' events. As the sun sets, Alex will be alone in this house, with nothing but the spirits of old for company. So she was just kind of like casually having a dream about shooting. Oh, left trigger is run. Right trigger is like a fighting stance. A just swings. Maybe right trigger is block then? You can just swing without it. The call of the mansion beckons to Alex, drawing her back to uncover the family secrets it hides. Alex will not leave till she has learned what has happened to her grandfather. I think I'm getting some comb effect, like it's not deinterlacing properly. I'll have to double check my settings after the episode. The last week... It's the same description as the other window. I suppose that makes sense. Yeah, among other things, the game's called Sanity's Requiem, so if nothing else, I should have kind of suspected it'd be Lovecrafty from the get-go. A beautiful carriage clock. The hands appear to be stuck, yet the clock continues to tick, with the time permanently set to 3:33. There is a key in the back of the clock, presumably for winding it. Should Alex look at the key? Alex picks up the desk clock and pulls the key from it. However, there is something odd about the key. It isn't for winding it at all. It looks like a dresser key. Completely unrelated key, like you do. Portraits of the ancestral Roivus line. The foyer walls. I thought it was the Roivus line, but no. The portraits line the foyer walls. Their faces reveal a dark, brooding edge. There is something about each one that gives the viewer an unsettling feeling. Well, they are all probably dead. So one of the first observations is this is not a tank controls game. You just press a direction and it goes. I guess we'll just poke around, right? Nope, not there. Not in that case. I don't know why I said it like there. If I randomly punch something, it's because the A button is punch, but you examine with B, so you don't interact with using the most prominent button. Because this is the GameCube controller with that giant paddle of an A button. These books contain the history of the Roivus family, genealogy, birth, and death records, deeds, and writs. The Roivus history is a troubled one. As Mediterranean immigrants, the early Roivus were shunned by other settlers in North America. Suspected of witchcraft, the Roivus were convicted during the witch hunts, forcing them into hiding. As memories faded, the Roivus rebuilt their lives. As far as background goes, just to set up for this, I actually ordered a GameCube from scratch. That's from scratch is weird to say. I ordered a GameCube and a memory card and so on. So I now have a GameCube in the collection just for this game. But I also have a copy of Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Sorting through the books, Alex sees one that seems to be placed differently than all the others, as if drawing attention to itself. Curious, she examines it. Upon the inside cover, shaky handwriting shapes the numbers 333. She replaces the book. We keep referencing 333. That's half of 666! Oh my god! Was it like 665, the neighbor of the beast? Or 667, technically? The books in this corner seem to focus on the supernatural. The writings of Poe, Lovecraft, the poetry of Blake, the art of Bosch, everything with a tie to ethereal horror or fantasy. It is all here. A reference library to the arcane. Was this Alex's grandfather's secret hobby? Right, this game opens with an Edgar Allan Poe quote. I was setting up, so I didn't really necessarily read it. I'll have to check it later. But I'm actually playing with my childhood GameCube controller. It's like the only old video game hardware that has survived from my childhood. Because my parents would always sell everything when they figured we were done with it or whatever. Each console generation. Which I'm not fond of now, for sure. I obviously didn't have thoughts about that back then as much. But whenever they sold the GameCube, they just didn't sell the controllers. So I think I have my original controller, my brother's original controller, which are mine's orange and his is black, but they're official line ones. And Mischief Makers. I mean, not Mischief Makers, Mystic Heroes. In the warm glow of candlelight, the Roivus family tree hangs from the wall. Shadows flitter across its surface, obscuring the detail. If one looks closely, the family's secrets are revealed. That's what looking closely tends to do. Did you want to open that door or punch the door? An observatory. A crane socket is mounted in the telescope and appears to be linked to a mirror supported by a brass pedal. A curious contraption, to be sure. What purpose can it possibly serve? Should Alex adjust the mirror? Yes. Am I supposed to be able to see something? Well, there's like a ball-shaped mirror on the wall and a ball-shaped mirror on that pedestal. So maybe this is a case where, like, I'll be able to, like, create a light somewhere, and then I can redirect it via the movement there. So maybe I need to get this started better. Look at all these, like, little components. I feel like I just walked into the room game. There's another one. Was there a detail button? Yeah. A globe cradled in a wooden frame. Its glossy surface is painted in the likeness of an ancient map. A lens is situated in the northern hemisphere, above a label that reads, "There be dragons here." I press up and down here. So we have another way to adjust it, but there must be like a light that starts this, maybe up there in the window? Or maybe it comes from the telescope. Hello. I wasn't expecting sort of adventure game puzzles in here, but they're welcome. So up and down doesn't do anything here. Yep, there's just 3 chances to redirect. Probably a beam of light. I don't think it's available yet, and it doesn't seem like I can do it here. I always expect these to have a puzzle in them. Did you hide something in the grandfather clock again? This looming grandfather clock seems to stand ominously in the corner, gazing on this empty room with an almost patriarchal air. I guess this is my chance to use 333, huh? That's about right. Ooh. I'm guessing that thing doesn't have a moving... I think that thing must not have a time that changes over time. Unless this fucking secret passage just opens twice a day on its own. Which would be kind of hilarious. That was a strong reaction to what amounts to a dirty library. I was waiting to see what she spotted, but I'm not sure there was much. A small shrine of candles. Their placement appears to be very deliberate, matching the etchings on the table and the wall's illustration. The candles are unlit. A diabolic drawing of a stack of human bodies, each one cemented into place. What twisted psyche could have executed this drawing? Though disturbing, it is meticulously rendered, down to the subtlest detail. The precise anatomy of fractured bones and the convolutions of spines and ribs entwine into a mesmerizing sight. Ooh, a sword. It's probably important. It's even changing color. Maybe that's what she saw. An ancient Roman weapon, a gladius, is on display above the fireplace mantel, another token of eclectic junk. It's also glowing? I guess she has decided that she needs a weapon, preemptively. I mean, her grandpa was murdered. This is a bizarre drawing of a Cyclopean city, its immense architecture bathed in an unnatural fog. The detail is incredible. As Alex studies it, she can almost imagine the city's inhabitants. A painting of a jungle-shrouded building. It seems to be a temple in Asia, perhaps from Thailand or Cambodia. This looks like some kind of mask. The face is serene in composure, with a faint hint of a smile tugging at the corners of the mouth and eyes closed in deep meditation. This Gothic cathedral is silhouetted against a stark light. The image is vicious and devoid of subtlety. Every brushstroke echoes the spikes of the architecture, imbuing a violent feeling, as though the building itself is a harsh imposition on reality, a grim picture indeed. An aged page set inside a glass frame hangs on the wall. An insane scribbling covers the page, incomprehensible to Alex. Perhaps, if Alex had some kind of tome, it might be deciphered. Just any tome? Just in general, like the concept of a tome, I would think at least like a codex is a more specific thing. A tome is basically just a book, isn't it? Like any book. If only I had some kind of book. Ah, this one says how to cook yams. Edward Roivas' study is filled with arcane knickknacks, mementos of yesteryear and other cultures. The odor of ancient texts is faintly noticeable under the peppering of dust that covers every surface. Except one. The desk had been the center of activity, and not a mote of dust is on it. Here, Alex's grandfather had worked, perhaps even hours before the end. You got a bunch of stacks of books. I will be shocked if this doesn't have a mote of dust on it. My desk has dust on it, and I use it all day, all the time. A large leather-bound antique book rests upon the cluttered desk. Alright. Always worrying when it appears that both sides of the book are locked closed. Oh wait, no, this is the book we saw earlier in like the loading screen, or the cutscene. So, the cover opens where the brand is, and then it has like a double cover that wraps around both sides like a folder.
No knowledge of what was to come, nor did I care. How the knowledge changed me, it will also change you. As you read this, you will come to learn fear as I have. You too will come to understand, or you will perish. To think that once I could not see beyond the veil of our reality, to see those who dwell behind. My life now has purpose, for I have learned the frailty of flesh and bone. I was once a fool. Viris quies candam est, viris conservandi. Facusatis aquae sumat, Et animus eorum confirma, pugna huis, dia sit modo prima multarum, si inceptum conficiamus.
Quam primum, Centurio Augustus. I would like to compliment you once more on your battle tactics. Our enemies did not have a chance. Do you believe that it really exists, Centurion?
I do not doubt our Emperor's beliefs, or his orders. But if we are to retrieve the artifact, then we must be strong and patient.
Come to us, pious Augustus.
Alright, now it's time to find the Herodric Cube. Well, that was a pretty abrupt change. I kind of dig the idea of them speaking the native language, but then just sort of transitioning over time, with the implication being like, you get it, like they're speaking that language. It's kind of like a nod. I haven't quite seen it done that way before, I don't think. The dice on the floor is finely crafted, inlaid with gold and gems that Pius can't identify. A strong linear design is situated in the middle. It is equally unknown to the Roman soldier. I feel a little bad because I feel like I had a bunch of options and I somehow managed to walk directly to my objective and leave the mansion. But I mean, we'll probably play as her later and look at more of that place anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if she spends the whole game there or something. But immediately this game's taking a turn that I didn't know it would, which is that we're time hopping? We have like a framing device within a framing device, because we were being told a story as the players of what was happening. Then we met her. Then she reads a book about this guy, and so we're layers deep at this point. The decorations on the wall are a mixture of ancient cultures, civilizations that have long since turned to dust. Perhaps this dungeon is all that remains of them. I get the feeling we might learn about combat as him. Since the game technically hasn't even taught me how to swing a weapon yet, I just keep doing it on accident. But like, she had a gun earlier, and I did not know how to use it, necessarily. She had like a limb targeting system. Nope, we're not seeing a lot around here. A shaft descends towards the next lower level. A ladder is situated on one side of the shaft. We gotta go to the actual ladder, I assume. The ladder leads into the dank heart of the labyrinth. Danger lurks beneath, yet Pius's courageous resolve does not buckle. Should he climb the ladder? Yeah! Probably start the next episode that way. But yeah, this is Lovecraft-ish shit. We have forbidden knowledge, visions of unspeakable horrors, tentacle monsters with circular toothed maws. It's like, alright, I get it. Hopefully it's better than the last like 3 or 4 Lovecraft games I've played, because while there are many, they are not, it is not a good average. It's like Warhammer, where it's like there sure is a lot of Warhammer and a lot of Lovecraft, but you really pick out a small number of gems from the pile.